Hey guys, welcome to another video. A few weeks ago, I made a video about a company called Gold Booker. In that video, I mentioned that I was going to refer my findings to the Wyoming Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State office as well. Now, in that video, I showed that Gold Booker was basically using its Wyoming registration to scam people in over 9 countries of their funds. They took this the certificate of formation from Wyoming, and use that as a credibility factor to show people they're registered in the US and in Canada as well, and to get them to fund their basically Ponzi scheme. Now, I was in contact with the Attorney General's office for a while, and I sent them an email a long time ago. They didn't respond, so I sent them a follow-up email, and they responded to me. Now, the Secretary of State's office also responded to me, and both are basically playing a game of it's not my purview, it's not mine. Now, the Secretary of State's office point of view makes some sense. Their point of view is that this is a problem for the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office is supposed to be the people's office, meaning that when there's a problem, whether criminal or civil, that's affecting the people in a particular state, it's the Attorney General's office role, their responsibility to prosecute or to at the very least investigate those issues. This Attorney General's office, however, declined to do so. Now, in the email they sent me, they said, very short email. Thank you for contacting our office. The Consumer Protection Unit is charged by statute. So I sent it specifically to the Consumer Protection Unit. They said it's charged by statute with enforcement of Wyoming's Consumer Protection Act and cannot assist you with this request. We recommend you contact a private attorney to assist you. Now, this would make sense if this was simply a breach of contract issue, but it's beyond a breach of contract issue. Now, in my day job, I'm an attorney, and I have applied to work in the Massachusetts Attorney General's office before. And during my interview and my conversations with them, they repeatedly reiterated it was their duty to protect the people. They were, in their words, the people's law firm. I don't know if they do the same in Wyoming, but it's supposed to be basically the same thing. Now, I responded to them and said, your website states you are charged to protect consumers against deceptive business practices. My report is of an alleged Ponzi scheme by an organization in your state that is affecting thousands of people in over 6 countries. Are you saying this does not fall under the purview of the AG's office, or do you refer specifically to your unit? It was surprising in the first place that they would respond saying this didn't fall under their purview. It didn't make any sense. It's literally the duty of the Attorney General's office. But beyond that, this is one case. I went through some of the listings on the Secretary of State's website, business entities, and you will see that a lot of companies follow the same business model, basically, that Gold Booker is using. Now, let me explain. Wyoming is one of the places where people want to register their companies, and this is for a few reasons. Now, the primary place where most people register their companies in the US is in Delaware. If you just look around, every tech company and every large multinational company that you know most likely is registered in Delaware. This includes Facebook, it includes Twitter, Snapchat. All the big guys, especially in tech, register in Delaware. Why? Because Delaware has one of the oldest and most developed systems of laws for corporations, corporate law. They started early developing their systems, and they dedicated a specific court to focus specifically on corporate issues. So the systems of laws in the state developed around corporations and around corporate law, and they did it very, very well. It's one of the more shareholder-friendly states to register a company in, and that's why venture capitalists prefer corporations registered in Delaware than they do any other kind of business entity, and most likely any other kind of business entity not in Delaware. Right, so even in Delaware itself, they would prefer to invest in a C corporation in Delaware than an LLC. That's understandable. Now, Wyoming came along trying to compete with Delaware, And by the way, Delaware also doesn't have state taxes for any company that is not operating within its borders. That means if they register a C corporation in Delaware, then you don't need to pay Delaware taxes except your primary place of business is actually in Delaware, and that's good. Wyoming and Nevada come along. They want to compete. And so if you look at the ranking now, it's Delaware, Wyoming, and I think Nevada after that. And so they made a few changes to their laws as well and made it easier for people to register companies within their states. And this has had two repercussions. The first is in Wyoming, it's actually easier for even internationals to register their companies. This is why I suspect that the owner of Gold Booker is not even in the US in the first place. It's not even in Toronto, in Canada either. They're likely in Pakistan or India. And another similar company that I'm investigating right now is also in India. So you have these people from outside the country that know the credibility that being registered in the US comes with. They register their companies using these states that make it very easy. Now, Wyoming, more so than any of the other two. And so they have that credibility. Now, it is a duty of the state to ensure that their laws are not being abused and being used to scam many other people. And the people being scammed, by the way, are not people that can afford things the same way people in the US can. Right? We're talking about the average income, GDP per capita, meaning GDP per head, of people in Ghana and Nigeria, for instance, is about $2,000, $2,300. Now, the GDP per capita in the US, for comparison, the GDP per capita in the US is 63 grand. So again, Nigeria and Ghana is about 2,300. The Philippines, I think, is similar to that as well. And GDP per capita. So for the Philippines, it's 3,200. For Nigeria and Ghana, it's about 2,000 plus. And for the US, it's 63 grand. The GDP per capita in the US is $63,000. So you see the difference in income. Now, those are the people being scammed using these exact methods. And by the way, this doesn't just apply to people overseas, because now I'm beginning to realize that a lot of these scams are going into Bitcoin and into NFTs. So people who don't understand how these technologies work, which is most people that are not really dedicated into studying crypto, for instance, can get scammed by this. There's another company that is operating in the US that I'm presently researching, and that one is likely a scam as well, but it's functioning mostly within the country, not outside. If these states make it easy for people to register their companies in the states, it's good. That's good. I had a company and I registered it in Delaware relatively quickly, right? That's good. But it's also their duty to make sure that their laws are not being abused. And for a DA, or rather an AG's office, to respond saying that this is not their duty, it's not under their purview. And again, I'm still waiting for clarification, because if they say it's not under Consumer Protection Unit, the unit charged with safeguarding against deceptive business practices, if they claim that it's not under their purview, it's not their job, then they should tell me whose job it is in that state to defend the average consumer who cannot defend themselves otherwise. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.